Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome back. And as promised, we have a better guest than last time. Comedian Dave Landau and co-host on Compound Media with Anthony. And he's touring the world. He was on Steven Crowder the other day. You're doing everything. How about what's COVID done to you as far as touring going here? You still busy, or is it scrapping for work?
No, I'm lucky where I've worked about as much as I wanted to, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've worked about every other month. I took all of July off, which kind of sucked, but other than that, I've been lucky where I've actually, I shouldn't brag. It didn't really suck that bad because I just got to spend time with my son.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. But yeah, like I really only try to work like 2 weeks a month now with the radio gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been lucky enough to where I've been able to work and I don't mind traveling right now. I know a lot of people are against it and think it's wrong, but I don't care. It's like
Yeah.
this is how I make a living, and that's what I do.
Yeah, I just had Derek Richards on. I think he's been on with you guys too. And he was
Yeah,
saying that he's like, dude, the people in my phone that are losing their lives, that have kids and family, and just like it's sad. It's like I have anxiety over it. And flying, they filter the plane so well. It's more filtered than going to the supermarket every week or whatever you have to do.
dude, I've been flying for years, and it's always filthy. And now, like I used to wipe down the seats with alcohol wipes and all that.
Yeah,
Now everybody has to. So it doesn't
yeah,
bother me. Like I'm a germaphobe. They make people not be dirt asses,
yeah.
and it works perfect. I I really think it's better or it's safer to travel now than it ever has. And I actually read something, who knows if it's real or not. It's like 99 point whatever percent safer to fly now than it was before, as far as like germs.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it. I believe it because it's
Yeah.
crazy. There people are going nuts. They're overdoing it. They're going crazy. They're wiping shit down. Are you like where are you now? Well, like you were on Crowder. Is that you were there today? So you're in Texas?
Yeah, I'm down south for a week.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm going home to Detroit, and then I'll go back to New York to do the show. But I can't really go back to New York until after Thanksgiving, or else I have quarantine again. Even though I keep testing out, like I keep going and getting the thing jammed in my nose to prove that
Oh
I
my
don't have
God.
it. So for a while, I could just fly in and out because I was lucky enough all summer where wherever I flew out of, I could get right into New York, no problem.
Right.
But now it's like every other state except for New York is on that list. So I got to wait until whatever, to like right after Thanksgiving to go back to New York.
When you like going into the so you're going back there and back and forth. Obviously, you're gonna say yeah to Crowder because that's a pretty big deal. Like I was joking with you on
Oh,
Twitter.
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a good. We're getting them right after Crowder, and they put you in this friggin' bathrobe. Uh,
Yeah.
what's
I
it?
went and bought my own yesterday or today.
Where's the video? I got a clip of it or something. There you are, right there. Right, you're next to the guy,
Yeah.
and you look like. I mean, you look like you want to die. I mean, you're in a row like. You're in a bathrobe. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? All right. They
I never
gave
have it's hard to tell because I never really have an expression of joy, even though
no.
I'm a comic. But yeah, that's just the white bathrobe. And in this moment, he's very, very serious about what he's talking about. So I'm just engaged.
Well, this is the new KKK. It's the
It is. It's
bathrobes only.
casual. It's why there's red, white, and blue under it, because anything patriotic makes you a Nazi.
You're right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's that. So yeah, I have a John Wayne shirt on under it. But yeah, today I went and bought a gray one. So I was wearing a gray robe, and then I had a Jim Jones button on some Kool-Aid.
The
But
other.
yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, it's just he's very, very passionate about what he does, and
Yeah.
he's like Anthony. We're like-minded politically in a lot of ways, and it's cool to hang out.
Yeah. It's like it's weird because I was always like a crazy left person,
Me
and
too.
and now okay, so probably similar. I find everyone's a lot like this. Like we were all like, okay. And people are like, "Oh, you changed. You fucking. What's the fuck is wrong with you?" And shit. And you're like, "Dude, I think you changed. You're fucking crazy." Like,
That's what dude. I agree. I don't think the left has changed that much because if you break down all the all the stupid ideologies that people want to talk about, which is always abortion, gay marriage, like all these sort of bullshit issues,
yeah.
I haven't changed anything on those. I'm the
Yeah.
exact same. I have the exact same opinions I always have. I believe in equality. I just think everybody's gone completely off the rails,
Yeah,
and
all the
everything's
weird shit.
identity politics.
It's all the weird shit, the language and what you can say and what you can't say. You guys are doing a bit about like the witches, and I was laughing about that. I was telling someone else about that. Even my wife was just complaining, and she's a little bit more left still, and so like she thinks I'm like crazy or like whatever. And like so we have these little funny squabbles. But she's like in Assassin's Creed, the new video game, they had to apologize today or yesterday because there was like a burn victim or something like that, and they were like, "We're sorry to it was an ableist thing," or like you're like, "What the fuck kind of language is this that they're
The
using?"
name of the game is Assassin's Creed.
Right.
It's perfectly acceptable to gun people down, but you're like, we didn't mean to insult burn victims that might be playing this game
This is
with your melty hands. It's just a dumb. The witches thing was insane because it's like they have these rock lock permanent hands, I
like
guess.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, and they said it was oh man, what was the word?
It was oh my god. Yeah, I was watching it today.
It wasn't limbless, but it was like
limbable or limb capable or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
like limbless or what is that?
I know.
Stupid ass limb difference.
Limb difference. That was it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Where it's like one of my friends, dude, has no arms and legs.
Yeah.
His entire life he's dealt with it and he's made jokes about it. He's never complained about a movie. He's never complained about any of that stuff. Like, it's just these opportunities to segregate people more and more and separate them more and more. Like, you have to, every time there has to be constantly a new group. There has to be everybody against each other. Everybody has to be different. Instead of being unique or like personality driven, it's all driven on victimization. And that's what I just got tired of after a long time, where it's like, well, I'm Rhonda, I'm a transgender librarian. And it's like, why don't you just tell me your hobbies? Why do you have to tell me everything that, like, what you like to have sex with and your color and your background before I know anything about you?
Because now they grew up with these are like their achievement points. Like this is like being like all these weird handicaps or changes or differences are like achievement points to them. So they're like, oh my god, like here's another badge, here's another badge. Oh, but I'm a white female, so hopefully I can find something else. Oh, my pussy's mangled. Like I have pussy dysphoria or whatever.
Yeah, there's that for real. And then then a Brooklyn open micer will tell you that you're vagina shaming if you talk about it on stage.
Yeah, like
we should have shame, and we've lost it as people. And now we're tanking this country for what? Like you said, people talking about losing their jobs, their lives, their businesses, their livelihood. Why? Like, there's no reason that any of that's happening, right? Like, comedy clubs are shutting down, places where people work, places where people need to make a living, all because of what? Because we want to not look. I just don't even get the argument through any of this. It's so frustrating, and it's so hard to like. I'd rather piss into the grill of a semi than try to have a conversation with half these people.
Oh my
because
God.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't just say, I think that I mean, the idea of every human being being equal is insane.
Right.
America's a new country. It's a melting pot, which is cultural appropriation. We're an experiment. We're still in an experimental phase.
You're right.
The idea that we're all going to be equal and everything's going to be peaceful and work out the way we want it to right now is batshit. And right now we're trying to control a virus. It's nuts.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, the experiment may blow up. I mean, that's a scary thing. And you've got kids. I've got 3 kids, you know, and I'm like, damn, I wish this happened when I was a kid. Like, I feel bad for my kids, God damn it. I don't know how old your kids are, but I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 11-year-old, and they're like doing remote learning in the bedroom. We're in Massachusetts, so we're not allowed to go to school, really. So it's all remote.
Right.
And my daughter's like, I miss my friends. I miss the playground. And it's like, you're in your room every day. And my wife is like playing school teacher all day, going back and forth. Imagine a single mother with like 4 kids. Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's what I can't imagine is there are people who cannot survive this, especially in those. There's people who have literally murdered their families.
Yeah.
Right. Because of this, because there's no way for them to survive. And we don't care because there's old people dying. As if old people dying is the biggest problem. That's what old people do. They die.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And we're insane, man.
and they
It's
smell
what I
really
don't.
bad when they die. When they die, they stink really bad. Like, I mean,
Why there's
listen.
plastic on their furniture, so you can just clean up the smell.
Yeah, they're
Do it all.
disgusting. Like the coroners won't even pick them up. They just throw them in the backyard. The wolves will eat them. They're old.
Yeah, and I have a son. He's 5, and it's very hard for me to wrap my head around it because between when I was a kid and now, we've turned everything into a scare tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And my son has, it's like you said with your daughter, she deserves to have a social life.
Yeah.
That's the largest part of growing up is having a social life.
Right.
The largest part of getting to know people, getting into the workforce is being able to socialize. And it just sucks to like look at this and go, well, we got you social media and whatever this world is turning into. So sorry. Like it's being destroyed.
Yeah.
I hate to be that like depressing about it, but it's like this stuff is just really, really starting to piss me off that people don't care.
It's getting there, and it depends on where you live. Everybody's got a different thing, and it's whatever. And the only thing I can relate to this crybabyism or the what your ableism and all these other things you're talking about was the only thing I can relate it to is when people would email me like years ago, like 6 years ago, and they'd be like, I love your show or I like you and everything, but you made this joke about cancer and my father died of this, or you made a joke about autism and I have a stepson or whatever. And I'm like, listen, I am sorry about that. My dad died when I was 8 of diabetes and a heart attack. I make fun of diabetes. I made a joke where I was eating a cheeseburger and having a coronary and stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
it doesn't. If it doesn't stop at your dad, then it doesn't stop at someone else's mother with this, and this person has that, and that person has that, and then so you can talk about nothing. That's what the end game is. Talk about nothing. Here's the robot shit. Go to work, and everything's controlled, and you don't talk, or we give you social.
Yeah, and everything doesn't have to be shock comedy, but the point of that gallows humor is just simply when you make those jokes, a lot of times it is to deal with the fact that that's how your dad died or that's what you have to deal with in life. The fact that people can listen to a comedian and have to agree with everything they say makes zero sense to me.
Right.
That's not comedy's job, is for you to agree with everything that I say. And it's not... there's no reason why everything should be allowed except the one thing that bothers you. It's why the SNL Dave Chappelle's monologue a couple weeks ago.
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
I was watching so many people on the right and left get pissed off depending on what topic he was on, because he was talking about locking all the white people up for murdering in schools, and then he was talking about he was talking about a transgender joke, and it's like basically it was brilliant. It summed up America. It made fun of everybody across the board, but you watched how thin-skinned both of these extreme sides are.
Yeah.
Because they both just got angry. And it's like, look, I agree. There are victims. There are people that are going to be sad.
Yeah.
There is a lot of issues, but it's like everything is not special. Everything does not need to be rewarded. And being a color sure as hell shouldn't. Or a sexual preference, whatever it is. That's all just bullshit. It takes away who you are as a person.
Well, and everybody wants the guy on their team, I think is what it is. Like you start watching to cheer, like, yeah, go get him, Dave. Because the last time he did a special, he triggered mostly the left. And so I saw a lot of the right-wing people like, there you go, fuck yeah, Dave Chappelle. And now when he comes out and he kind of makes those jokes a little bit the other way, people really freak the fuck out on the other side. And they were like kind of like remember the Chris Rock joke? Like, we need more dead white mothers screaming in the streets or whatever. I don't know. It was just like that. And I was like, I think that's funny. I know what he's saying. It's a joke. And listen, if you want to, I think if you want to critique a comedian, which I'm not really, but if you want to critique a comedian, and say like, here, I think this is why this joke isn't funny or is funny or whatever, that's okay. But the like, oh, cancel him and stop him from appearing at this club now and all these other things, like that shit's crazy.
The cancel culture and the rage. I mean, hypocrisy is the lube that, greases the wheels of our society. But there is the problem of the cancel culture where it's, if they're on your side, it's fine. And the second they go against the grain, even a little bit. And you look at this, like, Bill Maher is somebody who stepped over the line with the left. So he's been attacked.
Right.
You look at a lot of these people, and Dave Chappelle's just the most recent example of where you have the right attack him. And I experienced that on Anthony show. If I say something politically against what somebody might consider right or their own ideologies, I will get furious. I get attacked. And it just is what it is. I'm learning to deal with it. But both sides are claiming that they know what humor is and that they have the sense of humor that we should be gearing everything towards. And it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, it happens to me too. And you're like, I'm trying to make your point or help you guys with the point. Now you're attacking me, and because I think I'm in the middle. I'm always now independent, and I've never been called like, oh my God, you're a Trump supporter. Then you're a libtard, and I'm like, how can I be both? What the fuck? I'm getting screamed at every day by both sides. It's kind of a lonely, if it's a lonely place.
It is, and they say that middle is this easy place to be where it's not, and that's kind of where I've landed, is because I do want to hear both sides, and I think that the extreme belief in any organization that is ran by human beings is insane.
Right.
Human beings are flawed. Why would I believe in any system that they've created 100%? That's insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And everybody has a group, and everybody wants to be part of a group. And it always feels like at some point a group turns fucking evil, no matter who it is. Like, they start thinking they're better than everybody. And that's why, like, everybody wants to create a group or join a group. But let's go over to I got a couple funny questions here, which they are kind of funny.
Yeah, sorry.
We're really pissed off, all right? We're going to start hurting people, okay? That's what we're trying to say to you.
I'm just pissed because they locked down Michigan again, and it's right before Thanksgiving.
So that does. So, yeah, it's super. Yeah. I keep
food because a lot of people were getting their a lot of my friends' restaurants and clubs and stuff were coming back, and now they got to shut it down because, we're going to stop a virus.
30 years of this restaurant just outside of Boston where I would always go, local place, just closed yesterday, and I was like so pissed. I was like, I don't know, start a GoFundMe, let them open, like do whatever you got to do to limit people, but like allow them to stay alive. Don't, what the fuck? It is enraging.
And that's what I don't get about the extreme left is it's like you voted for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that either. They don't. It's. I don't know. It's like so political. They don't see it, or they don't see that, or what. I don't know what the hell is going on.
You have so much compassion for people. You don't want them to make a living or feed their families. It's great.
Did you see the guy with the flamethrower in New York today? Speaking of getting crazy.
Oh, goody. No, I did not.
Oh, well, here you go. This guy. I had it on Twitter. Unfortunately, I know what the fuck happened on my Twitter, but yeah, some.
What part in New York?
Brooklyn, of course. Brooklyn, he's on top of a bus, fucking, and then he jumped off the bus and he started shooting the flames at people. And it's a real. I wonder if it's one of Elon Musk's flamethrowers. Remember that? He had like a.
Why are people recording him instead of running away from fire? This is how bad people want a viral video and to be like this. They're like, oh, I got to get a picture.
I think that maybe they thought it was like some kind of show or something. Like they're standing around him, like, and then
it's a guy selling ice cream.
Yeah, he's on top of a bus behind an ice cream truck, and he's
and that's gonna melt your ice cream. That's what I say.
I mean, you can't make this type of stuff up in 2020. There's a man with a flamethrower on a public bus. And there's an ice cream truck selling ice cream to people and kids right in front of them. Hey, what's up? Come and get your ice cream, kids.
What a shit society we've made.
I'll tell you what, though. You haven't seen Jewish people run this fast in years. Like, they were just out of there. They were like the fucking gone.
Without the word sale. That is impressive.
That's good shit right there.
That's wow. I live in New York, in Harlem, and it is such a shithole.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, just because of de Blasio and Cuomo. I mean, I wish that it was nice, but they've destroyed that city. Like, when I moved in, it was great. And slowly over the last 2 years, it has disintegrated.
How old are you again? Are you
38.
You're 38. Okay, so I'm 30. So you may remember, but I'm 36, so we don't really remember. But, I mean, like, do you remember when we were younger, like in the 80s and the early 90s, like a lot of the movies and stuff, like New York was like a fucking war zone or something. And
Oh yeah, everything was.
and it really became this like just what people say Apple Store or whatever, and yeah, it just feels like, are we gonna go back to that? Like, it feels like we're going back to that. Like, we're gonna go back to the 70s and 80s New York.
It's weird because it's not like I liked the Disney World New York, but it
Yeah.
was clean. Like Giuliani made it so you had to clean in front of your businesses. There was no gum on the streets. The streets would spark. It looked like 2000 plus movie New York for
Yeah.
like this sparkly, beautiful, wonderful kind of place where before that it was Taxi Driver and the Warriors and
Yeah.
Escape from New York, and it was always this seedy, like there's graffiti on everything. Everything was filthy. We've gone back to that though and past it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Because
too.
of technology, we've gone beyond it. Because I mean, before if you wanted to riot, loot, start some shit, what you had to be in the neighborhood. Now you can just let everybody know what you're gonna do and take apart an entire city in a matter of seconds.
Right. Look at like Portland's a fucking just nightmare. I don't want that to happen anywhere else. Like, I mean, Detroit, like, I don't know how is in Detroit right now. It seems pretty quiet. I mean, but it's just like any other city. There's horrific parts, there's bad parts, there's some good parts, you know?
Detroit's divided right now, where a lot of people voted for Trump, a lot of people voted for Biden, and obviously that's an issue that's being raised of the legitimacy of it.
Yeah.
But it's always been kind of a Democratic Union-friendly city. But as far as the riots go, I mean, the riots in 1967 destroyed that city.
Right.
It caused white flight. It helped build, the suburbs into a bigger thing. And it's always been a very segregated city as a result of it. And it's not a good thing right now. What is beneficial is the chief of police is a black guy. The city's prominently black. A lot of the police force is black. And the people that were coming in to start shit were white from the suburbs, because somehow going into black communities and fucking up businesses is beneficial to them. And the cops just weren't taking any shit. They were just knocking heads and fucking people up. And I think that's kind of what you have to do right now. And I'm a guy who's been arrested a lot. I had a lot of issues with police when I was young, but
Yeah.
the whole defund them and this whole the fact that I have a family, I just look at it differently now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's easy to be in your early 20s when you don't own anything and you have no pride of ownership, no real career, and no respect for anything. It's very easy to go and destroy things around.
That's why you do need some of this stuff, because even if you didn't have some of that, there's at least the idea that, like, oh, there's a structure and there's protection and shit like that. Because yeah, it's dangerous when you're like 22 and you're like, fuck everything, I don't care about my life or anything, and you're not thinking about, like, let me protect everyone's family, I'm gonna go drinking tonight. You're not thinking about that. You're reckless. I did the same thing. And now I've got 3 kids, and you start becoming defensive. You start thinking, I got to protect my home. I got to protect this stuff. You're like a woman. They nest. They, like, start nesting and shit. Like, my wife did that, and she was like, we have to have everything. And you're like, what, are you crazy? But it's the same thing with men. They get defensive about protecting everybody and shit.
You do, yeah. It's like
You're like, I can't believe I'm like this.
Yeah, like I never thought I'd be a guy who owned a gun, and then it just turned into a point where I'm like, oh, good, now I have to.
Right.
Because it's you're scaring the shit out of me to the point that I feel like I'm going to have to defend my family. And maybe it's paranoia, but every day that this goes on, the more terrified I get, because the reality is people are animals, and if you keep taking away stuff from people and they lose their job and they lose their livelihood, they lose everything.
Yeah.
Watch what they're willing to do.
Yeah, it's
to be able to survive, and it's going to get real ugly.
Yeah, I mean, this is really concerning, man. Like, I hope it goes the other way. I am, like, still trying to ignore it because it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Luckily, I moved outside of the city. Like, I'm in, like, Foxborough. Like, I'm, like, I used to see Boston. And I was like, if any shit goes down, this road's blocked, we can't get out of any of this shit. And now I'm out here, at least there's farms and, like, other stuff. And, I mean, the only thing out here is, like, the Patriot Stadium, and that area is all busy, but there's nothing else over here. I used to you know, but the only thing was in city you could drive into everything. Like I drive in to watch a baseball game in 15 minutes. The Boston Bruins, 15 minutes. You're in Detroit. I heard you talking about Pronger earlier today on Crowder, and the guy, the other co-host, he had no idea what the hell you were talking about. He was like,
Who was it?
You were talking about, I think you were talking about like, oh no, you're talking about Probert is who you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Probert. You talking about him being an enforcer. I was working all day, so I was just blasting podcasts and videos while I was cleaning up the house. And yeah, I was like, holy shit, dude. I remember when you used to just light people up. But so you were a Red Wings fan?
Oh yeah,
of course.
Dude. I especially at that time.
Oh my God.
In the 90s, and when they brought over the Russian Five. I actually interviewed one of the women who helped make deals with the KGB to help get them over here. And my friend is Art Monatsakanov, whose dad was Sergei Monatsakanov, who was the Wings trainer that was paralyzed in the accident in 1997.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge fan of that era, man.
That
was just, sadly he's dead from, coke, but
yeah.
That guy, his whole job was to just beat the living shit out of people. And that was just an era of hockey. No matter what anybody says, how unsportsman it was, blood on the ice, and just, it was the most exciting time to watch hockey, especially for a Detroiter.
Yeah.
Because we were cleaning house in the late 90s. I mean, we've never been able to get behind a team for several championship years. So it was just nice to have that for a brief moment in time.
They, when I was in the 90s, obviously I liked all the Boston teams, but my second team was always Detroit. So, like, when we had the Sega Genesis out, I would always play, like, Detroit and shit. Like, that was a crazy team, man. Like, the Fedorov, Paul Coffey, and Cicerelli, and, like, just all those. Oh,
yeah. I met Fedorov. I was hanging out at a gas station. And or I was at a gas station with my friends, and I was just high as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I look over and Sergei Fedorov's pumping gas into his Porsche. And I'm like, all right, I gotta get. So I just grabbed my math homework I wasn't gonna do anyway, and I ran over. I'm like, hey, can I get an autograph? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he signs it. And there's this really gorgeous blonde sitting in the front seat, and she goes, do you want me to sign it? And I was like, why? I didn't even. Why do I want a trophy? So I walked away, and I told my friends when I got back to the car, like, dude, that's Anna Kournikova. I'm like, who's Anna Kournikova? So I completely shot down Anna Kournikova.
They probably got in a giant fight on the way home, too. Like, he didn't even know who I was. And he's like, well, nobody, you're fucking whatever. And she's
yeah, he's like, you're a 15-year-old athlete I shouldn't be with.
Oh, my God.
But I love those years, man. Yeah. I mean, you look at that with communism, and then the second those guys got here and they were like, wait, I can buy anything I want. They would like cry in the grocery store because they were like, wait, I can get more than I need.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't even, it was such a cool time. And they were just brutal, man. And if anybody's ever not seen this, I believe the documentary is called Tough Guy. And it is about, it's about Probert. It's a great documentary.
Yeah, there's another guy I used to play with here. He'd come to pickup nights, and he was a piece of shit. Like at pickup night, he would slash your stick and stab you, and dude, he was fucking crazy. And his name is escaping me. He played on Pittsburgh. Do you remember maybe you remember? Oh God,
I'm sure I do. Always the name that sticks out to me, though, was Patrick Waugh, the goalie for the Avalanche at that time. But
no, this guy was.
I know who you're talking about. He was the fighter.
Yeah, he's from here, so he came back to Massachusetts or whatever, I guess. And
I know the name too.
If I'm gonna remember it eventually. The guy was crazy, and he would just fuck people up, and I didn't know who it was. And then some guy was like, "Oh, it's him," and I'm like, "What? The fucking guy that used to fight the Bruins all the time? We used to have Cam Neely try to fight the guy, and he would still kick his ass." Just really funny shit. But
it's amazing to watch players like that. We had David Legwan went to our school, and he was a couple years older than me, but we still had a couple classes together where we dicked around, and just to watch a kid that age who is already a professional athlete play other kids is absolutely hilarious. It's like that guy now, like he's still a professional athlete just hurting people because that's all he knows how to do.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, now you can go into like the lower class MMA or something and try to like beat somebody up. Well, you can't really do that now because the COVID stuff. But do you watch MMA too? You watch MMA, right? You don't?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's real
I
quiet.
never. I mean, I've watched it a bit. I used to watch Ronda Rousey fights.
Yeah.
And I've watched it here and there if I've made a bet, but I don't watch too much of it. I like wrestling. I mean, I like MMA for what it is, but it's not my cup of tea, to be honest. I'd rather just watch baseball. I know it's lame, but
I'm the same way. I watched it casually. I watched all the McGregor things, the Ronda stuff. I don't watch much else anymore after that. I just do the wrestling stuff. But covering pro wrestling now on my main channel is like a fucking nightmare, man. Like it's the WWE stuff is it's hard to watch for me. I don't know. It's been really rough. The AEW's been good though. But so you watch professional wrestling still?
not like I used to. I mean, I have my friend's network pass, but no, I mean, I'll go to the occasional Monday Night Raw if it's in Detroit and that sort of a thing. Like, I'll still go watch it live here and there, but I don't watch it like I once did. I mean, when I was young, I was like at the same time in the 90s, I was a diehard ECW fan.
Yep.
And at that time, backyard wrestling was so popular, so you could actually just go watch a match with like punk kids taking barbed wire and glass and nails and shit to each other.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like I always was into like the real like live gory stuff that you wouldn't go to like a great venue to see it, but you go to like the Detroit Fairgrounds and they'd set it up and just be hurting each other.
Yeah, it's like CZW, those type of little
yeah, I like those back in the day. But I mean, of course I liked WWF back in the day. I mean, it was.
You guys have like extreme intense wrestling there or something like that, I think. But yeah, let's see. I feel like people like you still go like once in a while. You're like, oh, WWF or WWE, I'm gonna go check it out or whatever. But then you go and you're like, cool, but it's nothing like it was. It's so like it's so PG and like whatever now that it's so robotic.
That's why it's kind of turned me off. Like honestly, the women's matches are always kind of fun to watch, and then the matches after Raw, where it's like the guys that are still hungry and they're lighter weight and stuff, they're way more fun to watch. They're way more intense. They still have something to prove, and you're just not going to catch that. I mean, I guess you can catch it, but it's not nearly as popular. And like whenever you see people still working towards something, it's really exciting to watch.
Well, the guys at the lower company NXT do a good job, and sometimes you catch the dark match after Raw goes off the air, and it's because like they're just allowed to fuck around and do whatever they want, so they have a good match, and they're not looking at 7 minutes. Oh, we got to hurry up and we got to do the thing and get out of here. It's 7 minutes to go, commercial break or whatever. It's so produced.
There was always, there's always Mean Gene when I was young, and, talking to, these various semi storylines that were poorly written, but still really exciting when you were a young kid.
Right.
But fun to watch because, I mean, they were really intense. And I mean, even I've seen Jake the Snake live and some other people talk stories. It's amazing, but I mean, I don't blame them with CTE and Chris Benoit and like all that stuff, but it's still become relatively lame.
Well, back in my day after our match, Jake the Snake, I would go backstage and fuck a hooker until she pissed on me.
Jake was great.
I love Beyond the Mat where he's like, yeah, I'm having sex with strippers and whores and women, and then I go home and my wife wants to fuck, and that's just not, that ain't gonna happen.
Unless it's a dildo and a raping.
Like, I love.
I saw him live, and the stories were amazing. And Diamond Dallas Page saved his life, but holy shit, is that a guy that it's good he's off painkillers, but at the same time, he looks like he really could use some painkillers.
He's got COPD. Just the last week it came out, and so but on top of, I always advocated for Jesse Ventura and Jake Snake Roberts podcast. If they make that happen, I will fucking lose my goddamn mind. Those two guys on a podcast together. I would love it.
I would love to see that.
Do you know guys who can do Jesse Ventura? Because I'm always like...
Anthony.
Oh, Anthony can do him?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, it's not flattering, but it's dead on.
I was a Navy SEAL for several years. Vic Man raped me.
That's exactly
Really?
because he came onto the show.
Oh wow.
Not our show, but back on ONA, and he almost fought Jim Norton.
Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah, Jim was like, "Fuck you and your Rocky Horror Show."
fuck you, you Rocky, your Uncle Fester fuck or something. He said.
Yeah, and he chased him around the studio.
Yeah.
And Anthony just thinks it's hilarious because when he's had him on, he's like, "My new TV show, Off the Grid, is on." He's like, "How can you be off the grid if you have a television show?"
Yeah.
He's like, "That's not the point, Anthony. It's
Now I work for the Russians, and I tried for years to do him, and I was like, we got to find someone that can do Jesse. And one day I kind of got it a little bit, but it's still not there. I'm always looking for somebody who can do him. So Anthony can do him. So
Anthony's does a dead on anyone. I wish I
really.
There's no voice he can't do. I forgot what random shit DePaulo and I had said on the show the other day, and then he nailed 2 voices in a row, and we were like, "How did you?" Like, it doesn't even make sense, but whatever he hears, he can emulate.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I've heard him do a lot of shit that's good. Like, I mean, I like for years, obviously, and going back to Opie and Anthony, and I think I listened to everything back in the day. Like, I obviously started listening to Stern, like in, I don't know, the early 90s, and you get the little tapes, and you'd be listening to Howard Stern and also the late night alien radio shows or space talk or conspiracy talk and
Oh, sure.
and all that shit, and just
It used to be like weird, like when I would be driving around the country 15 years ago, you'd have that weird, I knew who Alex Jones was only because of his connection to Sacred Cow and Bill
Right.
Hicks.
The goddamn reptilians are going to kill you, Dave Landau. Do you know what's going to happen?
Gay frogs. It's fluoride making the frogs gay and your kid's transgender. And he's a guy who, listening to his show back then, it was just batshit, except it was on terrestrial.
right.
And the phone calls, I remember the phone calls just like, have you noticed the squirrels are starting to get a little bit more comfortable? They don't mind coming up to you.
Yeah.
That's when we know the rodents are going to take over.
Yeah.
You know they're going to start coming in your house. You're going to have to start killing them. And then the animal rights activists are going to tell you can't hurt squirrels. So they're just allowed to come in and shit and take your food. And pretty soon they'll be licking your kids in the morning. And there'll be nothing you can do. And if you do something, you're going to go to jail. You'll go to jail and squirrels will still take your food.
Yeah,
It's like that type of, it was, I know exactly what you're saying. It was fucking hilarious. And like,
and he's always like way over the top, but every now and then there's this spark of genius where you're like, wow, he was absolutely right. Like, like the tinfoil hat guy is not always wrong. That's what's
because he's the guy willing to throw shit. I know this is true because I get people who like rage on me and weird people who follow what I do, and they like do exposed. I'm going to show you all about Joe. If you throw enough shit at the wall and you're looking for it, you're going to stick a couple, and a lot of other people won't even go there. So even though you're wrong 6-7 times, those things you're right about are like fucking like, holy shit, that's true. And you're right. He sprinkled enough truth on it that it was like, okay, well, I kind of take this. It's enough validity that you can listen to it, but
it's sad to see how, and I'm sure plenty of people will disagree with me to see how he's deplatformed and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that this is America, and at this point, you should be allowed to say the things that you want to say.
Well,
and even goes back to what we were saying earlier about Chappelle on SNL and anything else. It's like, look, you might not agree with it, and you might look at it as, to me, that's nothing more than entertainment. If you're looking at InfoWar or anything like that for news, it's the same as how our generation looked at the Daily Show for news. We shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they can get sued. Like the Columbine, I mean, not Columbine, Jesus. The Sandy Hook. The Sandy Hook thing, that's the worst thing he did, and which was bad. And I didn't really like what he was doing when he was saying it, but I don't want him deplatformed. And also, if you say certain things, you get sued. Alex Jones, CNN, or no, the Washington Post or whoever, they wrote that story about that kid with the Native American guy with the drum, banging the drum in his face, that, they did something to him, and they got sued. They got the story wrong. They got sued. They lost money. He got money. Why doesn't Alex Jones get sued? He gets sued by, the families and stuff like that. He loses. But he's deplatformed. He's erased from iTunes, Google, everywhere. Banking, even like I think MasterCard or something. PayPal has taken shit away from people. And then people go, well, they're all private companies. But it's like, what? So you're never allowed to make a living again, like digitally, like anybody else.
Yeah, and I think if it's slander to say that somebody's kid got shot for the sake of an anti-gun movement to make something into a spectacle. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's libel, slander, whatever. You can get in some shit for that, but you shouldn't have this idea that you're not allowed to ever say anything or have your show or do anything ever again. And I thought that was gross personally.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against the guy. He's been on our show.
Right.
But it was a shit thing to do. And I'm sure and maybe he has apologized for it. I don't know.
He's always apologizing. He's always like, I got that wrong, and whatever.
Yeah, so what else do you want from him? I mean, look, people make stupid-ass mistakes, and that's just one that he made. He's a guy who's kind of obnoxious. He drinks a lot.
Right.
Something's going to slip out that's completely out of left field. Let it go.
Yeah, and I said the same thing. I didn't agree with it, of course, and I thought it was bad, too. And one of the reasons why I always did was I said, listen, I don't mind, putting on the tinfoil hat and questioning everything. We should, but... it was like when the Boston bombing happened. Like, my neighbor across the street's kid was friends with the kid who died. And I watched that family, like, every day. And I'm hearing people saying, like, oh, the kid's not real or whatever, or they're an actor. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, dude, I've seen these people, and I play hockey with the guy. And he talks about how sad his kids are because their friend is gone. And these people are like, oh, my God, it's an actor. And you're, like, losing your mind because you're like, I know that's not true. Like, something fishy might have happened, but, like, that kid's a real person.
Yeah, like, I got some Oscar winners across the street that really are selling this thing. And I know what you mean. Like, we need stuff to talk about, and people need people to hurt. I mean, I'm even reading a book about the dark web because I wasn't really aware of it. I just know what goes on, and I have an investment in Bitcoin.
Right.
So I want to read about it, and it's so interesting where like the Arrow Web and all these original versions of the internet that came out.
Uh-huh.
And really what it breaks down to is it took days for there to be chat rooms where it was just people trashing each other and attacking each other. There's something about anonymity and being able to hurt somebody that people really, really enjoy, and that it's scary, but that's the reality. And if you can attack a family, like granted, Alex Jones is anonymous. That's also why I respect him. He's not hiding behind anything.
Right.
He's not saying he didn't say it. He's putting his name out there. He's putting his face out there. He's not hiding. But there's a lot of people hidden in the darkness who, for example, with the Boston thing, they're going to say shit like that just because they can. It makes their life less boring. And I mean, I might not agree with it, but if we're going to live in this age of technology where we allow people to be anonymous and say the things they want and don't, and only consider it slander if you know who the person is who's doing it, then this is going to be the consequence. You're going to get a lot of massive misinformation. And right now, it's unfolding into something very ugly.
Yeah, and it used to be all names too back then, like Mr. Claw 7 and stuff like that. Now there's a lot because of social media. People kind of can choose either one. They can be their real selves or they can be somebody else. It's like kind of a weird fine line. Even me, like I do a lot of like wrestling commentary. I do the announcing for wrestling, and so I use my middle name because I don't use my real first name, and so it's confusing what I am or am not, when I'm online. But then there's other people that go full on like Rainbow 7, and you never know who they really are. And then there's some people that go their actual name, like you. You're a comedian and you're Dave Landau, and that's it. But moving on to something else real quick, I just want to ask you about comedy. I mean, like with what's going on comedy wise, and also with Compound Media. You're the co-host. You're the new Opie. You're like Opie if he didn't want to die. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I like Opie.
I've never met him.
No. Do you ever get sick of that? You ever get like, oh, here we go? Like I'm the like or the reliving the past so much, even though.
Dude, people haven't moved on from O&A or even Anthony and Jim and whatever it is, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I obviously from the beginning, and a lot of people, I mean, the amount of people that will come up to me at shows and stuff that are like, I hated you, man, but I mean, I just really love you now. You grew on me, and it's because immediately I wasn't Jim, so they just weren't going to accept it.
Right. And you have
And
more of
yeah,
a you just have you're a different style than Jim too, because Jim is so hyped up, like speedy, hyper guy, and you're, I don't know, you're more clever, sarcastic, and dark. I don't know, like these other things. Like it's a different brand, it's a different style. You guys.
yeah, and Jim and I mean, we get along great, but the O&A days are they're just dead. It's
Yeah,
not
get
here
over it.
anymore, and people can't seem to let that go. And they created the pests and all that
But
lovely
you
world
guys,
around.
but everybody keeps talking about everybody too, which is like welcome to YouTube, because this is like the last 10 years I've been on YouTube is like whenever somebody leaves me or I leave them or somebody, it's like just I'm going to make a shit video on you. Now you're going to make a shit video on me. And, I'm sure Anthony is still saying stuff about Opie, and then Opie's saying weird shit. And it's,
Oh yeah, they definitely have their beef.
yeah. But it's also, it's like content. Like I feel like off the air, they'd be like, yo, what's going on? You okay? But on the air, it's kind of like it's how much of it you think is real, or do you ever look at Anthony and go like, Jesus, are we gonna go there again, or you don't care?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can see my face, but when I'm on there, but it depends on the day. I mean, I can't tell not what to say or not say because I didn't work with the guy for 25 years to build his opinion. I mean, Anthony has a lot of genuine frustration based on the fact that, yeah, look, he lost his show and a $4 million a year, whatever contract, and it seems strange to me that he did. Like, I just have a lot of trouble believing that anybody's up for him, and I think he does too. And he knows that Jim stood up for him, so somebody didn't, and there's only one person left, and that's really all I know about it. But the only thing I can say about Opie is from everybody that comes on, and I've never met the guy, I got nothing against him, but he seems to be the one that didn't keep a lot of the friends from the O&A universe. That's
Right.
what I can tell. But I don't know the dude. I just try to stay out of the shit. I'd rather talk about entertainment or like hockey or whatever it is like you're talking about. I get that it's content, but I find Radio Wars to be so boring now.
They're so over. They're over. It's just so old that for us, maybe for younger people, it's like new or something. But yeah, it's
just hacky and cliche, and like I don't know, man.
well, now it's YouTube Wars.
What's that?
Now it's YouTube Wars for all the YouTubers out there.
Yeah, which is just insane to me too. I think it's boring.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that feel like that. There's a lot of people in my shows that think the same. Like when somebody gets in a beef, it's like, dude, are you guys still going on about this? And I get it, and I can't help myself. I think I'm like fucking, I don't know, I can't help it. And I get criticized. Like people like, will you stop talking about the guy that left your show? I'm like, well, he said something about me. Fuck him and his mother. Like, and it's like,
yeah, it's hard to not. I mean, it's hard to not just as a human being, and especially if you have a platform and if he's going to say something about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to go on. I mean, there's no way anybody's going to stop bringing up Opie and Anthony when they were together since, the early 90s?
Were you a big listener of them back then, like everybody, or?
I was a huge listener when they were on XM. I never listened to them on terrestrial.
Oh, really? Oh, so like we had them here in Boston and shit, and like when they went off the air, it was like, what the fuck do I listen to now? And like that's when I did the serious thing. What do you feel about all that with like doing Compound Media, which is compoundmedia.com? You guys put up teasers on YouTube, which is something originally I did. I had this Rage Internet Radio thing, and I would do it on YouTube. And then in 2012, I just hit gold on YouTube, and now I just do this for a living. What do you think about all that stuff? Like the idea that like I was working a regular job because radio was $25,000 a year, and my regular job was $40,000, and I was like, I'm just gonna work the regular and do this on the side. And now this is my full time, and I left my regular thing. And the fact that like it's just like musicians, you can kind of just, you don't need a record label now. You can do whatever you want. It's part of why I like to have comedians on here, because they're traveling, they're working. I'd rather help out comedians and bands because they're the ones that are out there, whatever. And they're helping me out. Like, obviously, you being here is a huge favor to me. I think it's very nice of you to come on here.
Thank you. I'm trying.
You know,
Thank you.
Compound Media, you know, but I think a lot of my listeners bring up Compound Media and bring up you guys or bring up Opie and Anthony. And every day when I talk about something, there's always one guy that goes, "Oh shit, Anthony's still on the air. Where is he on the air? I don't even know." And I'm like, Compound Media. They go, "I've heard of that, but I never knew that was Anthony." Do you, like, how do you feel about everything you're doing over there?
Well, as far as my personal show and everything, I love it. I mean, I'm sitting there with one of my heroes every day, making jokes and just having a good time. I mean, there's really no, and we also work an afternoon shift for 2 hours. I mean, it would just be, I got nothing but gratitude, man. I hope it continues to work out the way that it is. We do very well, and I love it. Right now, though, we're living in that weird time of there's so many people creating things. There's so many streaming services. There's so much stuff out that's available. Everything will get shaken. We'll see what ends up staying. I mean, that's the reality of it. And maybe there will be a lot of these niche markets. I mean, that's really what I think it is at one time you tried to shoot for like comedy show, a special. You get this. Now it's like, if you want the Tonight Show, I'd rather just do Crowder. More people saw me this morning than would ever see me do a set on the Tonight Show. It's just a different world now.
Well, and they're receptive too.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. No, they're receptive too. They're like people who are like, "Who's this guy now? I'm going to follow him." It's not like older people like, "Oh, whatever, the next night." Nobody's going to look you up, really.
No, and it hasn't been that way in a very long time, you know. And there's been a few exceptions. You have like Nate Bargatze and a few other people that have really been able to still use that sort of old formula. But for the most part, it's dead. And what now all I try to do is find a niche market. And the benefit with Anthony is his fans are loyal and they love him. And the people who hate him, but that just shows you how successful that he is, how successful he is. How good he is, you know, how good he is, how funny he is.
You said sexy. You said he was sexy. I heard that. You guys fucking, I know what's going on over there.
A little bit. I mean, nothing, steady, but we've done shit. We've done finger stuff.
I'm fucking my hero. This is crazy.
It's great. And it's a blow my hero.
And Opie's just sad.
What the fuck happened to my radio show?
That's what Opie's saying. Poor guy. Yeah, but he's doing his thing too, and a lot of people are doing their own thing. But I think Anthony was ahead of the curve, man, because he was doing this shit way back when. I remember Tom Green was doing it on TomGreen.com or something. I was doing Stickcam. You know what I would do is open up multiple browser windows on Stickcam, which was like a social video site back in the day. Yeah. And I would like open up windows and we'd get like 50 people. We'd go to the top of the search and then we'd put on a radio show on Stickcam. And
Rogan said he based his entire show off of what Anthony did.
Yeah,
I mean that exists because of Anthony.
Exactly. Him and Tom Green. I was doing stuff, but I didn't know where to put it or what to do. And I saw what Anthony did, and I saw what Tom Green did, and like I think a lot of people did. Like Joe Rogan says that, but so many other people saw that too, and they were like,
there was a channel called AXS that used to be owned by Mark Cuban that had a show called Live at Gotham on it, or Gotham Comedy Live after Comedy Central had it, which was, the comedy club show. And Tom Green show became a couple shows on that network right after Gotham Comedy Live. So, I mean, there's been, definitely bigger pushes for a lot of this stuff. And what's crazy right now is every late night show looks just like what we're doing right now.
Right. Yeah. Like they're watching. It's like you think they're like they're watching a lot of what the YouTubers do, because years ago I'm like, dude, these guys are gonna be pissed that they're losing like their fucking audiences to YouTubers and people like I have a career because of this YouTube. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? They got to be pissed that people are going to YouTube instead of their radio shows or even Sirius satellite radio. So I'm sure they're watching what you guys are doing and what everybody's doing. And
of course, I mean, look at the $100 million contract that Joe just got. And then you have Crowder, who had over 1 million live streams on election night. That's insane. That's numbers that late night might tell you that they're putting up, but we all know they're not.
Right.
They might have a clip the next day, but who knows what's being paid for as far as advertising and everything to get that clip out there. Like the live streaming of those shows, it's not drawing in numbers like a lot of YouTubers.
I just, it's amazing what the site's done for me. You know, I bitch about it. We talk about the censoring and all the other stuff, but I mean, it's just amazing what the thing did for me. Now, one last thing before we roll here, and I'm gonna talk about. You're gonna be, first of all, you're gonna be. Are you? Yeah, you're still touring, so we'll get those dates if anybody can go. Oh no, you're not. Do you have any dates coming up?
No, I do. Yeah, DaveLandau.com. People can click tour, and I'm all over the country. So
okay,
it's. I mean, I have no idea what'll be for the rest of the year. I know I have Vegas. I know I have a few other things, but I have no real clue what's going to end up shutting down and what's going to open up.
just look for it. Look for the schedule. Go there and yell like, "Oh, Joe Cronin, I sent me here. I'll suck your dick, Dave Landau," and just
there you go.
Scare the shit out of him. But real quick, you know, when you were on Crowder, I noticed you got the smallest mic.
Yes.
What the fuck is that about? Like, this is bullshit.
On an angle.
This is just bullshit. You got the smallest mic. No, is it an angle?
It's not an angle.
Okay,
yeah.
you're right. It is a side angle. I bring that up because do you remember Howard Stern? Did you watch all the Howard TVs back in the day and those type of things?
I used to watch it when it was on the E channel.
So, like, I mean, I always like radio sound. I don't like to watch it. Or I don't know how you feel, but like sometimes when I see it, I'm like,
I hate it.
yeah, like fuck this. I want to hear it. It's imagination is so much better.
Yes.
But when I watch the old Howard TV, I started to notice something. You can see my screen, right? You can see David Spade.
Yes. Yep, I see David
So
Spade.
I have a theory that Howard has like got dick fear over the years or something, because every couple of years he would force his guests to use a smaller microphone. Like, here's David Spade, and he gets the Electro Voice RE20, which is like the, you know, classic radio mic. I always dreamed of using this mic. It's like $500. There it
Yeah.
is. Looks like a cock. That's the other thing I like about it. Everyone's and then a couple years later or whatever, or maybe this is a little bit earlier actually. He's using the Shure mic, you know, the one that everybody uses now because Joe Rogan basically.
Right.
Big black cock mic, you know, which is, I think back then he was just like put a dick in their mouths. But now, and then you notice this. Here's David Spade 3 or 4 years later after the other one. Look at that mic.
That's just a stage mic from Radio Shack.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, you peasant interview guest. Like, this is fucking David Spade. And now watch this. This is actually a few years after this photo. Look at this fucking, now it's a fucking, it's the, now it's
Bob, or it's the fucking Price is Right Bob Barker mic.
Yeah, it's a fucking Emmys now. Oh, here's your little fucking tiny microphone, David, you piece of shit.
God.
And then
I
here,
don't even like the look of this.
right? It's kind of creepy. Like, there's something psychological. I noticed this a few days ago. There's something psychological going on with Stern, who I don't listen to anymore, really. But I noticed this, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, he went into therapy, and he's definitely changed a bit.
Yeah, yes, absolutely changed a bit. And here's your final one, because I know you were wondering what it looked like during COVID.
Oh,
It finally got to what Stern wanted. No fucking mic. No fucking mic for you.
Well, at least he still got the earbuds from 9 pictures ago.
Hey, everybody, listen, thanks for listening and to the show today, yesterday, and everything. Thanks for the 25,000 downloads or whatever the fuck was the other day. We broke some kind of deal, I don't know, on the channel. Whatever. Thanks to Drew for not being here, you big lip piece of shit. And Dave Landau, comedian Dave Landau, check out his schedule, man. He's everywhere. Dude, he was on Steven Crowder this morning. He's probably going to be hot now, so it's going to be a good time to have him on. Give him support over there. Go watch him when he's live. Go watch Compound Media. Go to the website, sign up, pay people for good shit because it's good and you're going to like it. All the classic guys you like are there that you maybe didn't know they were there, but they are. We played a little clip of you guys roasting the witches, so that will be fun. Hopefully Anthony doesn't copyright me. If he does, I'll kill myself. So
I'll tell him that. Please don't. I know you've been threatening. I got the letters, but don't.
Thanks,
Use
Dave.
the code Kumia1
Okay.
or month, if 1 month, 6 month, or 12 month, and that's a number in the middle. So Kumia 1 month, 6 month, or 12 month, and that one will get you a discount on the site if people want to subscribe. Dave Land or not, whatever. God,
I'll do it for you. I'm gonna go look it up.
Please do.
I'll just have the commercial will just fucking play right there. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you later.